The Boston team consists of the urban designers Philip Parsons, Jane Corneal, and mobility expert Federico Parolotto from Italy. Their testing ground, the city of Somerville, close to downtown Boston. It's among the most vibrant and interesting emerging urban centers in the United States. But the urban planning process still leaves room for future concepts. The team wants to improve the usage of urban spaces, making it more flexible by finding efficient solutions for mobility, sparking new business, and at the same time increasing quality of life for everyone.
And let's welcome the team leader, strategic planner, Philip Parson.
Welcome to the multimodal mobility marketplace, and we call it 4M, and it should be on the screen. It's brought to you by Team Boston, and we're not getting any. 4M's here to manage the multimodal mobility revolution. Like most revolutions, it could be good or it could be bad. And we've designed 4M to make sure the revolution is good. We're going to cover the future to 2040 in 15 minutes. What's causing the mobility revolution, what could go wrong, because many revolutions have unintended consequences, how we can measure the impact of the various components of the revolution, how we can manage the consequences with 4M, and how this might work in our chosen city, Somerville, Massachusetts, and what's next. So, what is happening and about to happen? What are the components of this revolution? First, amazing vehicle innovations. And we've heard about those already, like Audi's. Second, apps and new services. And third, innovations in pricing and regulation. Mobility revolutions have shaped our cities. We've seen the streetcar revolution, which made Somerville possible, soon displaced by the Ford's Model T revolution, and then the interstate highway system, leading to the congestion and paralysis that we know today, with up to 45% of the land in our cities taken up with cars. But our most livable cities have strong transit systems. In Somerville, just over a month ago, we saw the first new transit system, new transit stop in Boston in 35 years, and the highest ridership in 50 years, and a new light rail stop. The Green Line is coming to Union Square, which is our study area, in 2 years from now. So we face a new mobility revolution supported by three forces. The first is cars, where Audi takes the lead. Some predictions tell us that 75% of vehicles will be autonomous by 2040. Audi is also pioneering piloted parking, self-parking cars, which will have a huge impact on the way we design our cities. The third Audi technology is Car2X technology, where cars talk to each other and to traffic light systems, increasing safety, smoothing traffic, saving fuel and emissions, and making life better for pedestrians and cyclists. The second innovation cluster is in apps and services. Smartphones have revolutionized car-sharing services like Uber or Zipcar, and tell us how to plan our multimodal journeys like Ride Scouts, my favorite. As the sharing economy grows rapidly, fewer people apparently want to own cars in cities. Even bike-sharing programs thrive on GPS and smartphones. But the third component of the revolution may be the most significant. Cost determines behavior and shifts transportation choices. We can now fight congestion and pollution with road pricing. We all know about London's congestion charge, but even in Dallas, Texas, dynamic road pricing is in effect. So we have all the components of a revolution. What could go wrong? Well, there's no guarantee that autonomous cars and car sharing will save our cities from growing congestion and economic paralysis. We have to find the right mix of revolutionary ingredients. And if we don't, we could see a vicious cycle with more congestion, environmental deterioration, infrastructure failure, and this is very depressing, general decline from the failure to integrate our amazing technological advances with appropriate civic structure. On the left, we see the downward spiral of urban decline, but on the right, one good thing leads to another. So we need to model the probable consequences of each innovation trend and to calculate how these various innovations will interact for a future that is either heaven or hell. We've developed a dashboard driven by a series of algorithms and countless spreadsheets based on extensive research of worldwide trends that can show the predicted consequences of each selected major innovation between now and 2040, when the appropriate data for any city is provided. The blue and green bars on the right show the difference between business as usual and a future managed by 4M. And we've applied this set of algorithms to our city, Somerville. With Somerville, the dashboard tells us that by facilitating the right innovation mix with 4M, by 2040, we'll see commute times reduced by 25%. Car ownership will decrease by 15%, but not for premium, while car sharing will increase by 8%. Parking demand, off-street and on-street, will be reduced by at least 18%, while land required for vehicle right-of-way could be reduced by as much as 62%. A lot of numbers. 15% reduction in greenhouse gases does not account for the improvements in the cars themselves. And the mode mix shifts a lot away from individual cars to shared public transportation and bikes. But the path to these future goals is unpredictable. That's where 4M comes in. Imagining the future doesn't make it happen. Instead, we need to manage the future, unpredictable though it is, using big data to bring together industry and public policy to achieve the best result. We always get the future wrong. This 50s image reminds us of that. We need to work on steering ourselves adaptably to the future as it evolves. 4M is a mobility data platform put to work for our cities. Real-time, comprehensive data on how we all move. We have much more comprehensive data than Mexico City, gathered into a publicly maintained database with anonymized open source data for entrepreneurs. 4M provides the essential market research data for innovation, helping business analyze what new vehicles are needed, what the market might be, creates a level playing field for small and large entrepreneurs. Equally important, 4M gives government the data it needs to manage our cities, reducing congestion through dynamic road pricing, analyzing the need for new transit services, and changing the mode mix so that everyone has a better commute, whether they're driving an Audi or riding a bus or a bike. 4M also gives government the data it needs to prioritize infrastructure, investment in roads, bridges, and transit, and the tools to equitably fund infrastructure investment through user pricing on federal, state, and indeed local roads. And for citizens, 4M provides the data that can enhance urban experience, giving them better access to multimodal choices and comprehensive data on mode availability, as well as convenient access to single payment systems that speed up transit and improve experience. So what 4M really does is reunite business, government, and citizens in a single mission to improve the sustainability of our cities socially, economically, and environmentally. We've tested what 4M can do in Somerville, which is a small but vibrant city of 75,000 on the edge of Boston, by looking at a particular neighborhood. Somerville's changing rapidly, with new investment in transit, rapid economic cultural development. The colored areas are all slated for massive redevelopment. We've chosen to focus on the area called Union Square. It's been called one of the 5 hippest cities on the planet, along with Berlin. We're much smaller. It's the creative hub of the city with multiple startup businesses, restaurants, and artists. We did a big online survey, dynamic survey. We asked people to identify their favorite places and where they walked, biked, and socialized. We ran a community workshop to find out what people needed. The big concern is how to keep this community diverse, vibrant, and distinctive, and 4M may be the key. We applied the dashboard data to Union Square to find out what would change with 4M. Much of the road space is returned to pedestrians and bikes. We need 30% less space there for parking. Emissions, commute time, traffic all improve, while there's a real increase in public space, new jobs, housing, and increased tax revenue for the city, and the mayor's sitting right there. He likes to hear this. How do we get there in the Union Square development? If we use existing parking standards in each building, where the space for cars is almost as much as the space for people, we use up a huge amount of prime space, and our development options are inflexible. All that blue space is for parking in the new development if we stick by existing standards. Without 4M, much of the public right-of-way, 75%, is left for cars. But when we let 4M work and apply Audi's technologies, parking space at the core drops to only 15%. Less than half our roadways are for cars. We can build piloted parking garages close to the center, perhaps using only 50% of the space a normal parking garage might use, close by the square. These little cars bouncing around, probably not exactly like Audis. And actually, they would be much closer together with the Audi system. With Car2X, we can redesign intersections so that people and vehicles move safely, comfortably, and quickly across intersections. A little more safely than this looks, I think. It was a little scary, if you ask me. After the mobility revolution, we can reorganize how we use our streets so that mobility services are dynamic and readily available. And we don't use the space we have in the public realm for storing cars. Freed from parking requirements and the massive buildings that they necessitate, we can provide new space in a much more fine-grained city with more character, where alleys, what we call maker muse, provide modest space for small-scale entrepreneurs and craftspeople with living space above. Somerville is already famous for its improvisational spirit. With 4M successfully applied and cars no longer dominating, new space and freedom of movement allow for spontaneous generation of community and what we call permanent temporary support for markets, entertainments, and celebration. This mobility revolution will generate multimodal mobility hubs. More than places to wait for a train or bus or car share or grab a bike, but natural meeting places supporting the collaborative economy. Connecting the new train station in Union Square to the culture of the Union Square itself, the 4M hub will become a collaborative crossroads supporting meetings, study groups, social gatherings. All of these things together create a new kind of urban environment that's much more vibrant, denser, more affordable, and turns the whole experience of mobility into something positive. We've built the momentum for creative change with broad community engagement in the city and with political support. And as I mentioned, our mayor is here with us today. We've identified where we need to go next to make 4M a reality. Further research and pilot projects in the city, along with active political engagement at the state level, will develop momentum to test Audi technologies and move the 4M concept and the dashboard firmly into public consciousness and closer to reality. Each step will build on previous community achievements building momentum for cities where we can all thrive. And we imagine that Somerville, a nimble, small city, will become a model for rethinking the urban experience and the relationship between mobility and the city all across the country and eventually all across the world. So you see this virtuous cycle on the screen. We can create a heaven rather than a hell. Thank you.